Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Final Fantasy II, where this was probably one of the last things I was expecting to see inside of a Cyclone. You know, damaging winds, destroying the world. Yeah, apparently there's an entire castle facility in here, complete with monsters! And, also the Emperor himself. Yes, indeedy, this is very much a deadly weapon. You know, once again, continuing the comparisons of Starusian Wars. Whatever. In any case, though, yeah, Ultima seems to be putting in work. It's finally upgraded to a level where we're actually starting to see some pretty damaging attacks and, indeed, a very bright aura surrounding it. To, once again continue on, you know, the Ultima tangent, yeah, it's played straight in a lot of later Final Fantasy games, and, yeah. I think it does make a few other appearances and a few other Square Enix properties. The only other one I really remember was actually Kingdom Hearts 3, when, again, Mickey and Xehanort pretty much clashed Keyblades, and, well, I mean, Mickey cast Ultima and Xehanort cast Stopsa. Bit of, again, kind of a shame that Sora never gets to use such abilities, but, who knows, maybe in Kingdom Hearts 4, we'll finally get a taste of Ultima. Or maybe Donald might be able to cast it. I mean, if he can cast Zeta Flare, the sky's the limit, really. But yeah, all the same though, compared to a lot of other dungeons, I'd say that the Cyclone is meant to be a much more linear sort of stage, so not really much in terms of where you're gonna get lost, but by that same token though, you know, I mean, it is really sort of building up as, well, you know, end of the road really. I mean, again, the Emperor's pretty much controlling this thing as his secondary super weapon, so yeah. And again, with Castle Finn pretty much next in line for destruction, it's very much do or die time, so I mean, compared to the Tower of Mysidia that, well, again, didn't exactly have the same level of stakes, this one does have a little bit more story and, well, I think the term is Ludo narrow to synchronicity going for it, but, yeah, everything's sort of meeting at the halfway point, and, yeah, we're going to meet the Emperor, who will go, well, at least maybe in an earlier draft would have gone, "Now, young Firion, you will die." But yeah, there are still treasure chests to find, you know, areas to climb up, and, you know, so on and so forth, so yeah, we're gonna get the most out of our exploration, and, kind of similar to, you know, the likes of the, you know, the... Fuck, I've completely forgot what I was gonna say. Compared to, a certain later dungeon, actually, yeah, this is pretty much gonna be the one opportunity you have to actually visit this thing, so, yeah, get all the treasures that you want to now, because you'll never see it again, and, yes, indeedy, Blaze. That's pretty much a property of utilizing the Wyvern. Yeah, because we have the Wyvern as our little buddy, it's also, now there to use as, an attack. So, yeah, it'll pretty much cast Blaze, and while it isn't exactly the most damaging attack in the world, I don't know. I mean, again, it does sort of show the fruits of your labor, as, you know, the Wyvern had a bit of plot importance, and it has a little bit of gameplay functionality as well, so overall, I can't really complain. And, again, compared to anything else, like, I mean, it doesn't just require... you know, Ricard in order to use it, you know, being a Dragoon and all. Yeah, the Wyvern itself is kind of bonded with Firion, Maria, and Guy, which is kind of sweet, really. Could they be the next generation of Dragoons to ensure the line doesn't die out? Well, I mean, not technically, I suppose. I mean, you know, as we're going to be seeing a little bit later, you know, there is still Alina and Kane back in Dice, so yeah, I mean, they won't technically die out. It's just a matter of hanging in there, really. And as I just started recording, I am now realizing that I don't think I edited out... Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't edit out much of any battles at all, so, oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we, Auntie? Well, more specifically, I'm in trouble, because, yeah, the handy-dandy tangents be running a wee bit low, and, while we are definitely in endgame territory right now, yeah... You know, long stretches of time where we're just sort of making our way towards progress and things to talk about as opposed to actually having things to say, can be a bit of a problem. But, not to worry, I'll overcome it. I've faced greater challenges in the past, like reviewing Silent Hill Homecoming, quitting smoking, whatever. I'll find a way through. I always do. Although, speaking of tangents that I feel are appropriate to expunge at this point, as we're, you know, talking about the Emperor the Emperor good and proper, queished. Yeah, actually to kind of talk about the Emperor's backstory, I did bring mention to Final Fantasy II having Japanese novels. of which I think there were two. One Japanese novel that I think is technically non-canon and might have been based upon an earlier version of the story. But yeah, that does also somewhat delve into an idea of the Emperor's backstory that, yeah, well, apparently the Emperor's father sold his soul to the demons in Hell in order to obtain the ultimate power. Whether this was the ultimate tome or, you know, something else is anybody's guess. And this was apparently there to, you know, sort of give credence to the factor of the Empire thinking, well, the Emperor, thinking that ruling through absolutes and, you know, his elevated status means that he's, well, pretty much there to play judge, jury, and executioner to humanity, seeing himself as above them purely by virtue of his father attempting to gain demonic powers. I mean, it is quite interesting, and again, you are going to get a little bit more character detail on the Emperor himself, as, you know, he's... Well, again, he's a man who has ideas above the station, but not entirely unearned. I mean, again, as you can tell, he's opened the pathway to hell, he's, you know, got demons at his beck and call, and indeed, as you talk to him, he begins to reveal that he thinks that humans are flawed and inefficient in terms of their values and perception of justice, which is quite interesting. The game never particularly explores this much to any significant degree, which is probably part of the reason why the second draft of Final Fantasy II might have been a little bit more interesting, you know, not just for what I've mentioned before about giving Firion a few more character arcs to go on, but in turn, I guess also for potentially justifying what the Emperor was saying. I mean, again, I suppose if you wanted to sort of work it into the backstory, you could potentially have, like, the very original draft, you know, of the whole Three Kingdoms and the Kingdom of Monsters, you know, vying for power in the background. I guess that's sort of being the basis for why he views the world the way that he does. But then again, that would also require story expansion material on Final Fantasy II that we simply don't have, apart from a bit of an after-story with, you know, the Dawn of Souls expansion in the 20th Anniversary Edition, that's not something we have at present. And I mean, even in that case, this more delves into the history of the world of Final Fantasy II as opposed to, you know, taking place after the fact. I don't really know what to say in this aspect. I mean, I think it would have been interesting to delve more into the Emperor's, sort of backstory, because, I mean, again, there is the whole idea of him, you know, viewing the world, you know, from a platform of an elevated status kind of thing, seeing himself as above, you know, reproach and humanity and all that. But, I mean, even in that case, yeah, it's not really too heavily explored, I suppose. But bearing in mind, though, I think a lot of the novelization, you know, stuff that did go out of its way to sort of include elements of previous backstories, like, I believe in the slightly more canonical novelization of Final Fantasy II, the Emperor's mother had a bit more of a prominent role, but again, what that really was, I'm not too sure because I haven't read the novelization since it's, you know, Japan only, and I don't think it's ever gotten a translation outside of it, so... And I mean, even in then, you know, who knows whether or not Squaresoft or, you know, current-day Square Enix even acknowledge its existence? I don't know. I mean, again, somewhat cynically, I guess for a lot of Final Fantasy fans, again, I mean, if your name isn't Final Fantasy VII, then, or, you know, insert Final Fantasy current products now, then they don't really give half a shit. But, I mean, even in that case, so, I don't know, I guess it's just sort of a bit saddening, unless, of course, you happen to be a really big fan of, you know, Final Fantasy VII and its various sequels, or, I don't know, Final Fantasy X, 13, I guess, even though some might consider it undeservedly so. But, I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, even Final Fantasy IV, and, you know, even Final Fantasy V, if you count, you know, the Legend of the Crystals anime, at least got thrown a fucking bone, even as bizarre as, you know, Final Fantasy IV, the After Years, and Legend of the Crystals were, as a 200 years later sequel, that sort of has Bartz's, you know, granddaughter as, like, a side protagonist. I don't know, but, I mean, even in that case, I mean, I've heard, I mean, there are still very mixed things about a lot of the Final Fantasy side sequels that a lot of the games get, so who knows, really. I guess it's a bit of a wish in one hand, shit in the other situation, where on the one hand, maybe something like, say, I don't know, Crisis Core could potentially enhance your view of Final Fantasy VII, or, I don't know, Dirge of Cerberus then takes away or whatever. I mean, I don't know, really. It's a little bit odd, although, then again, I have also heard some very divisive opinions about the Final Fantasy X audio drama that, well, apparently did some fun things to the cast in a post-Final Fantasy X-2 world. So yeah, that's a bit interesting. Although, it kind of inversely, when everybody hated Final Fantasy 13, I apparently heard a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but at least some people gradually warm up to it with, you know, some of the later sequels of 13-2 and Lightning Returns, so... Yeah, I mean, maybe not a complete 180 for something like that, swings and roundabouts in terms of sequels. And I mean, that's not even beginning to get into some of the stuff like, you know, some of the bonus episodes of Final Fantasy 15, or, you know, whatever story expansions they have for, you know, the online games like Final Fantasy 11 and 14. Yeah, it's a bit of a pick your poison, really, but, yeah, either way, like, I mean, in terms of some of the Final Fantasy games that don't really have much continuation or prequel backstory, yeah, Final Fantasy 8, 2 are the only ones that really spring to mind. Final Fantasy 3 as well, I suppose, but even then, that was a bit more of a simplistic sort of Final Fantasy 1 style story. And I mean, even then, Final Fantasy 1 being the first game still had, you know, Stranger in Paradise or, you know, that sort of thing, so, yeah, who knows, really. That being said, though, it does kind of make me wonder, like, I mean, again, it might have just been a one-off, like, a Team Ninja, like, crossover kind of thing, but it does make me wonder whether the monsters at Square Enix might consider, like, another sort of weird, bizarro spin-off slash, alternate take on events, kind of like what they did with Stranger in Paradise for, you know, Final Fantasy 1, really. I mean, again, like, I don't know if anybody here has actually played Strangers in Paradise. I mean, I have. I didn't finish it, mind you, but I mean, I did play at least a little bit into the game and do know what goes on in that. And I mean, honestly, it does kind of make me wonder, like, I mean, if they, like, gave an alternate retelling to some of the other classic Final Fantasy games. I mean, I guess maybe it probably wouldn't go down well with a lot of the fanbase. I mean, especially considering how memed up, you know, Jack Garland is with a grr, I'll kill chaos in a bit of a, you know, DMC Devil May Cry reboot kind of way, but I don't know, I mean, it could be entertaining just to see, but then again, I suppose sales might have played a factor into that. Well, sales, reputation, meme factor, I don't know, I mean, I'm still hoping by some slim miracle that in Kingdom Hearts 4, Sora will get to meet, you know, grr, I will kill chaos Jack Garland, just for the sheer contrast of characters, which would be fucking hilarious. But then again, that remains to be seen. But yeah, either way though, I suppose if nothing else, you do also get to see the gradual progression of spells leveling up as we leave in every fight. Yeah, I mean, then again, this is also meant to be the pseudo-final dungeon kind of thing, which is a bit of a spoiler and a clue in and of itself. But yeah, it's all in the backstory. You know, the Emperor Mateus' father made a pact with demons in hell, so really, who knows exactly where that's going to lead. I mean, again, if there's a hell, there should be a heaven as well, so it does also kind of imply the existence of a god and a devil, so to speak. Well, devil, Satan, Beelzebub, Lucifer, whatever the fuck he's calling himself this week. But, yeah, it does kind of leave you wondering, really, and, well, sadly, I guess we'll never get to know. Victory. I know I shouldn't be tempted to skip, but I still have a large chunk of gameplay left to go. So, I guess if I have anything else to talk about, I do not. That is frightening. Yeah, I suppose, well, I mean, again, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it again. Again, if you've already entered the Cyclone and, you know, you've already saved your game at this point, yeah, tough luck, because, again, if you want to get the Blood Sword, again, you need to visit Paul to get the Blood Sword before you enter the Cyclone, so if you've already pretty much got to this point, too little too late, and I mean, even if you know where to look, you know, in the little area beside, you know, Paul's bed, yeah, that door isn't going to open, so you're pretty much blowing your one chance to get the Blood Sword if you haven't gotten before entering this thing, so, yes indeedy, whoop-de-doodle. And, now we have some Lamias to destroy. Foul temptresses that tried to make Firion lose his virginity before eating him. But don't worry, we have Ultima 6 now. I wouldn't make a joke about the Ultima series, but my knowledge slash actual playing of those games hasn't really kind of evolved beyond like a. I mean, I did try a vague attempt at trying to, you know, I mean, I did try a vague attempt to try and find a way to play those games, but I was never able to find, you know, a way to get to like the very early games to work. And then again, I suppose maybe I wasn't really looking hard enough, or maybe I just didn't have the right hardware at the time, but Yeah, I mean, Ultima 1 through, I mean, I'd say Ultima 1 and 2 especially is absolutely fucking bizarre as, like, a Western RPG. Like, I mean, again, it plays itself up as, like, traditional swords and wizards fantasy, but it's gonna be seen to be believed when, you know, you start traveling through time, you know, you travel around into bloody space stations, you know, you get into TIE Fighter fucking shootouts. God, I don't know what the fuck Richard Garriott was smoking during, you know, the early Ultimate games, but by fucking god, he must have had the best drug-addled... he must have had the best drug-addled D&D campaign in the history of anything. But, yeah, I mean, the long story short of my rambling, story, apart from seeing monsters with a green dragon... yeah, Ultima 1 and 2, really bizarre games, wanted to play them, but, couldn't really. Might try again if I can find some way to emulate the early games, and, again, I mean, if I can emulate Ultima 1 and 2, I might consider doing a commentary over them, just so I can share in the madness, but... I mean, then again, this is also, like, very early RPG games, you know, with, I mean, even more primitive graphics than what you're gonna be seeing now, and even more primitive gameplay, really, so, yeah, it might be both an experience for me and for you, and, yeah, it might be very difficult to emulate, really, but either way, I mean, it's an esteemed series with a long history that ended up having a very tragic sort of ending, really. Well, I mean, for at least the main series games, I don't really know the status of Ultima Online or what's become of the series since, but yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, I'll say that much. But alas, we still have to destroy this green dragon. Dearie me. Ultima will destroy you! And then the green dragon says, "Thank you for releasing me!" And a bit of a relevant trivia, but fuck it, when have I ever been relevant throughout this entire part? Yeah, speaking of thank you for releasing me, that's actually a quote from Spyro the Dragon. Why do I bring this up? Well, because in early development history, Spyro was initially going to be a green dragon before Insomniac thought, wow, this looks really fucking derpy and very Puff the Magic Dragon, so yeah, they changed his colour to purple because they found that to be a more regal colour palette, and there you go, Spyro the Dragon's iconic design as we know it now. Although, I mean, to be completely honest though, that does actually kind of make a fair bit of sense considering, you know, where The Legend of Spyro would eventually go with its Lord of the Rings influence, and, well indeed, speaking of online games, Spyro's Kingdom, a cancelled Activision MMO that was attempting to break into the World of Warcraft scene that, well, just didn't cut the mustard and, well, sadly was just left as a bit of an unfinished demo, really. But, I mean, then again, that's just the weird sort of limbo state that Spyro's in right now. I mean, again, Crash kinda had it lucky that he at least got a fourth game. Spyro just got like a remake, remaster trilogy kind of thing, and that's pretty much it. I mean, again, I was always a bigger Crash fan than I was with Spyro, but I mean, for the ones that I did play, which was pretty much just, you know, Spyro 1, 3, and, you know, A Hero's Tale, that's kinda saddening, to be honest. Ah, well. Onwards and upwards, I suppose. Well, by onwards and upwards, I mean Spyro pretty much being stuck under Activision and by extension Microsoft's thumb, which, again, at the risk of making this a bit of a cynical remark, yeah, unless things have changed between now and when this part is uploaded, yeah, those of you who know your Microsoft and, particularly Xbox brand gaming, by god have they gone into the shitter, which means, yeah. Bit of a sad state of affairs as they're pretty much going all in on, certain current-day technological trends, really. But, oh well, the future is bleak and horrible. But oh well, you'll always have Solidus-Skully. Even if I die, I cannot be replaced. For you see, I am the ghost in the machine that haunts your place. What am I talking about? I have no idea. We're just busy fighting the Lemias, slaying the soldiers, and making our way to the Emperor's chamber. He is your master now. At last, we have won, and now it is time to meet our destiny. Firion, Maria, Guy, and Sir Ricard the Dragoon, I'd like you to meet the Emperor. So, you've revived the Wyverns, and now, here you are. Yet, you are but insects unworthy of even being crushed under my foot. So, you have some skill after all. Let us see how you manage against this. Admittedly, while a bit of a time waster Shugami-do, and first of all, in a bit of a nice bit of symbolism, yeah, those same style enemies that were hunting Maria, Firion, Guy, and Leon at the beginning of the game. Kontanoi. But yeah, the same enemies that punked us out are now gonna get a taste of their own medicine as, yeah, we're now much more powerful than we were before, and we can wipe them out with ease. As you can plainly see. But yeah, I mean, while a bit of a time waster in terms of the Emperor being like, yeah, I'm a smug bitch and I'm better than all of you, I'm just gonna send my guards against you. It is quite cool, again, how the more guards you defeat, the more, again, as you're gonna be seeing in the cutscene, gradually closer that, Firion, and the gang are pretty much getting towards the Emperor to take him down for good, and the more he starts to respect his enemy, even if as a means of going, yes, well, you should consider it a great personal honor that I'm going to layeth the smackdown on you. I don't know, it's a nice bit of interplay between heroes and villains, and, yeah, it does give the Emperor a nice deal of personality and presence, even though he hasn't really appeared much until now, which is excellent, really. Quite extraordinary, really. It would appear that I've sorely underestimated you. You should consider that I am about to do you a great honor. I shall kill you personally. I actually seem to remember that being a bit longer, but acquiesced. Yeah, now we have the Emperor, bounded with some guards and, the Thing, who lost his pants! But, yeah, somebody should have told the Golem to put on some fucking trousers. Well, then again, maybe he's cosplaying as, the Thing from Fant 4 Stick. Well, then again, he did put some pants on in, like, that new Fantastic Four movie that was, like, set in the 60s or whatever. I don't fucking know, I didn't see it, but whatever, really. Yeah, the Emperor. Again, being, a magic caster, he's very much all about the spells and all that kind of stuff, and, yeah, while he isn't exactly the most powerful threat as you're gonna be facing right here, there is a bit of a reason for that. Well, I mean, okay, I take it back, he is powerful, but, well, in terms of the fact that he has both defensive spells and offensive spells to pretty much take you down, as well as a lot of high-level magic. But, yeah, let's just say that, he's a man who plans for every contingency, and, well, let's just say that even Batman would have a difficult time taking him down, even with that delicious preparation time that gets Batman out of a Shugami-do, depending on the comic book writer, or whoever happens to be sucking his dick at that very moment. But yeah, all the same though, I mean, it is a pretty climactic fight for, what you're thinking might be the final encounter with the Emperor, but as is typical with RPGs, there is always a second phase. So, Emperor, what's your game? Do you want to die? Are you feeling suicidal? Well, as soon as we take out the Thing, yeah, we pretty much just cast fire on this naked, hulking golem creature, and then we can cut the Emperor down to size. Save the world! Power of friendship! Well, I mean, again, I say power of friendship, but I mean, to be completely honest, even though it wasn't even really a thing brought up in Final Fantasy II, I mean, it's kind of saying something really that's, all the companionship, self-sacrifice, and dying that, well, both in terms of our main trio of Firion, Maria, and Guy, and indeed the rotating fourth party slots of, Joseph, yeah, excuse me. Fucking words, why are they so difficult? Joseph, Minwoo, and, well, a few other party members that we've met along the way, like Prince Scott. Yeah, they've all sacrificed a lot of things for us to get to where we are. And I mean, quite frankly, I mean, it does kind of show the bonds of, trust, friendship, and camaraderie in a way that a lot of other anime games sort of hit you on the head with and don't do anywhere near as well, really. Kind of funny, that in a way that it kind of underplays this message and it ends up being the most potent, really. The golem is gone. Now, what you can't hit, what you can't see, Emperor. My god, I'm seeing double. 8 party members for me to destroy. But, yeah, This is also where we decide to lay the smackdown, even if he casts haste on himself. It's time for us to use the Ultima Magic. No, he won't be stopped. I literally said stop, but he wouldn't. I was kind of curious, actually. Has there ever been, like, an evil villain that's ever been told to stop and then did? I don't know. I'm sure there's one story out there where the villain did to the hero, but alas, we used Ultram on him, we killed him, and thus, the Emperor is no more. Past tense, pushing up daisies. He has finally been vanquished. Our long quest is at an end. This must be the final part. It's over. No! I will not die. It's over. We should get back to Finn. They'll be waiting.